we want to talk about something that was very much discussed over the last few days, it would be the Jet Tamala offer. Like, that thing was getting hot and heavy inside of the I-80 club in terms of quarter. It was all inside of the Inside Info channel. So if people never go over there, there's like 300 posts of debating to read about quarterback high school offers moving forward.
Yeah, I was involved in that one. I can talk about that one plenty, but yeah, it's first of all, impressive. Alabama is offering Jet. Wow. Man, there's just not been a quarterback. We've had some of that with position players in Nebraska, but not quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the top programs competing with Nebraska or anybody else to get them. And so in some ways it's really uncharted water for Nebraska high school football, which is crazy. I don't know. Kalen, I guess, had Michigan State, who was offering him, Oklahoma State. Like, you kind of had that second tier, but you haven't really had the very top tier.
Yeah, like you said, it's usually other positions. Like Carter Nelson had Georgia interested in him. Niles Paul back in his day had some big schools. But in terms of quarterbacks,
Malachi had Oklahoma and Alabama interested in, or Oklahoma and Georgia. But so it's new. But I mean, it's very simple to me, Josh. Like, it's super simple. They made a commitment to Dayton Riola, for better or worse, that they're going to stick to for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
And Mitch said, I listened to your interview with Mitch. When was that? Monday? Was that Monday? And I thought Mitch
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, I love your show. Mitch said on your show, he was like, quarterback recruiting is just different in that. And I think what he meant was, I don't want to put words in Mitch's mouth, but I think what he meant was, you kind of get your guy, right? And then you're done. You kind of lock it. You decide, you stick with them. As long as you've got that guy, you're sort of done. And it's one per class, where other positions, you'll get more. There's no reason to stick at one. But at quarterback, you kind of have to.
Yeah. Why do you think this got as much reaction as it did? Do you think it is a lack of trust in Matt Rhule? Do you think it is a Nebraska kid, and that always gets people's dander up? Is it the nepotism feel vibe that there is with Dayton? Like, it's
all of those.
What is it the most, do you think? And hey, let's throw in the fourth one too, of like a genuine fear that this kid could be really good if Alabama views him as good.
I think it's not. I mean,
you don't want to miss out on a guy.
I think that's honestly the big one, because like I said, to start this, you just haven't had a Nebraska quarterback have that kind of attention out of high school for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. His senior year hasn't even happened yet, right? And who knows what else is coming if Alabama's in. Is Ohio State, is USC, is whomever else going to come calling for him at this point? That just hasn't happened. And so I think there are people who are thinking, yeah, I understand it, but at this point, he's in state. He might be interested in coming. He's looking like he is going to be elite. You need to drop everything and figure it out, basically. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. D'Lo says, I think he sticks in Ames. Jumanji just writes Jeff Sims. Yeah, hopefully he doesn't turn into Jeff Sims. Baymon writes, true, but look at the gnashing of teeth over Kalen. Yeah, Jack, take me back. Do you remember what the discourse was like and what was the situation with him? Did they offer him or not offer him? What was that recruiting of him like? Because they
had him, and then they added Riola, and then he thought about leaving, but he decided to stay.
Yeah, and then he transferred. But was there a whole thing with his offer? Did his offer take a while to arrive? Do you remember, or am I just making something in my head?
Well, I don't remember that. I mean, he was offered.
Wasn't he a later offer, and then they
had him before Riola, though. They
did. But Travis says that he was a late offer. Well, then D'Lo says he was offered early. Okay, when was he offered? Was he offered later?
We'll find out. I don't know. I will look it up. I don't know for sure. I don't remember that. I mean, the part I remember was the part after Riola was in. Let's see. He was letter of intent. He signed on December of 2023. Okay.
Because I talked to him the summer after, like he committed. He joined Mike Schaefer and I at the College World Series. He came on with us.
Really?
Jack, on site. He
committed, by the way. He committed May 20 of 2023.
I mean, that's a pretty late offer for a guy who's going to.
I don't know if that's when he got his offer, but that's when he committed. So.
Here it is. Matt says he committed to Missouri. Then it seemed Riola wasn't coming. Then he flipped to Nebraska. Then Riola committed, and he's stuck with Nebraska. Yeah. Biff says, look, Biff ultimately hits on how I feel about this thing. We're already loaded with quarterback prospects. Another 2 years of Dillon, Latif who's redshirting, Dayton for depth, and a freaking 5-star and Taylor committed. JT plays with an all-star team and maybe will be a great player in college, but history says he won't. Look, I'm kind of
there too.
Am I just getting old where I'm just like, I can't work up the nerve to really get all that frustrated?
Well, Josh,
all that frustrated by it.
It would be so different if they did not have guys around him in the classes around him committed. So,
yeah,
like, I think there it is. D'Lo,
Now, to be fair, that's a different staff, though. That's not the Rhule staff. That was the Frost staff.
Yeah, well, they also.
So I don't remember.
Yeah.
What?
That's oddly enough, they were the ones who also got the Rhule staff into Dayton Riola, too. I mean, that's a Frost offer.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. But I just, like, I get it. I understand the frustration, and that he, of course, as a Nebraska kid, is playing a huge part in this whole discussion. But, man, it's just like, players transfer all the time. Like, I just can't get so worked up over recruiting. I wish I could. I used to be so worked up over recruiting, man. But it's just so hard anymore because I just never believe that a player's going to last.
Listen, they would have to sever ties. The bottom line for me is they would have to sever ties with Dayton Riola, and they don't know what that would. I mean, I suppose you could do that now, right? And, I guess let Dillon play, but I understand. Like, it's not that I embrace the machine or the system right now, but I get why they're doing that. I totally get why they're doing it. Yeah. Their most important player right now is kind of connected to that. Is it gross? Maybe, but it's reality. So I don't blame them because I think you're not going to take two guys from that class. You're just not, right? And you just had the kid from Illinois commit. That's a huge get, I think, and that's a long ways away, but they are more I still think and I had a little bit of a disagreement with Dave Fight on this last night, just in terms. I think they're more prepared from a recruiting position at that quarterback position as they sit right now than they've been for I don't know when the last time was.
Isn't that amazing? Like
don't you think? I don't know. What do you think about that? I know the Logan Smothers was a big recruit. I know McCaffrey was a big recruit, but
yeah,
I would take where they are right now at that position over anything they've been at for forever, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that the hard part about it is you're right. Like when Logan committed, there was excitement, and McCaffrey committed. Though I will say this, to argue just a tiny bit, I remember being a little perplexed by how different some of those players looked and were in terms of style of prospects. Like it didn't ever seem like a kind of consistent type of quarterback. And again, I'm not breaking down film or anything, but it does seem like they want, really they're just going after good players right now. And I don't think you could always say that with the Frost era. So yeah, you're probably right. I mean, the other pushback would just be like, best laid plans and all, and it seems good, but all it takes is one portal cycle where multiple guys transfer out.
Like, you want me to say one area where Rhule's done a good job? It's recruiting quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, post Jeff Sims, right?
Yes. He handled that part bad. Everything else has been
Jeff Sims after, like how he set Nebraska up. I wish.
Yeah, they had some pretty good depth last year, some would say, Jack, and complaining about it in May of 2024. You probably feel like a big idiot at this point, I would say. Maybe. I mean,
what he's doing is one thing I can definitely see myself complaining about him not doing if he wasn't. So I don't know. I think he's put on with that very specific thing. He's put Nebraska in a good position right now. Like,
and how amazing is that he's done that given the offense has sucked?
Yeah.
What in the world are they able to sell anybody
Honestly,
on right now when the
it's a
offense
good
is
question.
horrible?
It's a good question. How is he getting those guys?
Yeah.
How did he get Latif, right? You know.
How did he get Taylor? Obviously Dylan, we know that he's a legacy, but that's still an incredible get. A guy who was committed at one point to Ohio State and Georgia.
We know he got Dayton, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, that was easy. Yeah, Matt, Rhule has been good at hiring lately. Year 2 hires, way better than year 0 hires. They definitely are. And Jack, we still got 3 more months to talk about this stuff, but I just continue to think about the pressure that is on him and Rhule and just the team because – proof of concept has been a phrase that we have used around here for years. They need that though so bad because they're doing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes that are laying the bricks. But for that really to pay off, they got to put together a season that you're like,
yes,
okay. It's not just hope, but there's actual some stuff in it.
100%. Josh, the reason I can't get worked up about this is if it was a huge mistake, the first time you're going to feel it is 3 years from now. Okay.
Yeah. Worry about that later.
Who will be here then? Will Rhule be here then? Right? The amount of questions are great. If he gets there and he's still around and everything else has looked good in there, you're like, well, I wish they had Jet Tamala. It's the amount of issues that I'm concerned about. Future quarterback depth is so low right now.
Yeah. Imagine caring about no offense, 2028 quarterback. You're talking about 2028 quarterback. That's what you're worried about. A guy who would start maybe in 28 or 29. That's so far away.
Number one, it's in the future, and number two, they got pretty good other guys around him. So again, this is one thing he's done well, in my opinion.
Yeah. And how much is the stat or the roster, and I guess staff too, but how much is the roster going to change over by that point in time? Barring the kid becoming a Heisman candidate, All-American in year 1, it's going to be okay. I
mean, who's to say whatever, there's so many things that could happen with recruiting, right? Mm-hmm. Good and bad. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Tamala might end up at Nebraska. There's who knows? Who knows with all this? Dayton Rhule might not. There's so much still yet.
But you know what, Jack?
Dylan might transfer after this year, and Dayton may not want to come, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's not out of the. It's so far in the future. It is so hard to get worked up about.
Am I an idiot if I say look, if Dylan Rhule turns into an all Big Ten caliber quarterback, it's worth the Dayton throwaway offer just because? Am I also wrong for thinking that? Because I also kind of think that. If Dylan Rhule becomes an all Big Ten caliber quarterback in one or each of the next 2 years, that's fine that they offered his brother. Deal with it. It's not one quarterback. It's not going to make or break it. If you hit on one of the guys before or after him, you're going to be fine.
100%. And also, who knows? Maybe he ends up being, there have been a bunch of guys that we thought were going to be good. They missed on. Maybe there's one that goes the opposite direction. So
yeah. Sheldon says that's a pretty big if. It definitely is. I'm just throwing that out there. If it works out with Dylan, it covers up the offer. Now if Dayton shows up and he completely stinks and he's never really participating and it ruins the depth of the room, then I'll have a different discussion. But man, I don't know. I just can't get
the fact that we're talking about this and the fact not that there's another. There's not another proven running back on the roster for this year is crazy.
Yeah, that's a much bigger question right now.
It's just if you want to critique recruiting, I got a place, or the transfer portal, I got a place. It's right there, and it's going to have immediate impacts instead of in 2029, right, or whatever. So.
Sumanji says if it doesn't work out with Dylan, Rhule probably isn't here anyway. Yeah, that's true, and that's
100%.
That's the other part where it's just well, if they don't get this right, they're just going to try again.